Issue 253 Reboot. We start out with Sonic going through the jungle. Well, the jungle of Mystic Ruins, because God forbid we reference Sad M's Great Jungle instead. Or give the jungle a unique name. Though I understand why they think it's more charming to have a game reference name. I wasn't expecting them to be here at all, because last issue, I thought they were going to look for the other freedom fighters, and there was no reason for them to not all be in their homes at Mobitropolis. But I guess they were busy on missions outside of it. But not in Eggman City, sabotaging his base or anything. It's especially confusing because the freedom fighters in Archie tended to be so passive, like Eggman literally lampshaded that he had to come to them and bother them for them to do anything. So it's unusual to see that now of all times, every single freedom fighter ever is busy on a separate solo mission from each other, when in normal Archie Sonic, chances are a lot of them would just be at home, doing nothing. Especially Bunny. This starting out in the middle of the action panel is so confusing that I immediately checked my timeline to see if I'd skipped an issue. At least it keeps the fast pacing up, though. Tails says that he's tracking down Rotor with a very weak signal narrowed down to a few hundred meters thanks to the King's coordinates. So why the hell are we going to restore Rotor's memories first? I expected them to look for Sally first. Or Antoine, one of the two. But Sally would make sense to see again immediately because the last issue ended with her being on the Death Egg. And she's more popular than Rotor. And everyone missed her the most. It's like, this is sadistic. I'd even expect Bunny faster than someone as bland as Rotor. But Sonic justifies that apparently Rotor is the one freedom fighter that got any lead on. Why? Really? I thought they knew where all of them were. I feel like it could have easily been written that they didn't start out looking for the least interesting freedom fighter. Why would the King have a lead on only one of them? Wouldn't he know where all of them are? And Tails had this insane theory that the freedom fighters would be the key to restoring Nicole. This really is operating on moon logic. This isn't the restoring old memories thing. I mean, Rotor can fix anything, but so can Tails. I refuse to believe he wouldn't be able to do that. But apparently we're supposed to believe all of them can restore Nicole. So what makes the freedom fighters so special? Why can't she restore the old memories of literally anybody? Nicole mentions a secret project, and I don't know why Sonic thought the thing he saw was a guide. Eggman's still walking through the African plains, thoroughly getting the karma he deserves for Archie Sonic. Being tired, hungry, thirsty, his clothes have tears in them, and he has to camp out in the wilderness. I love that this is mentioned to remind us that he's still a nature hater like in Sad AM. While it was confusing to me, it was part of his identity. Cubot and Orbot complain about spending so much time pushing his broken Eggmobile following him. Why would Eggman ever program his robots to be able to complain when that annoys him? He's not sadistically smirking and enjoying their complaining. So at that point, him making them capable of complaining was a mistake he should have corrected a while ago. Eggman lampshades to Orbot that he can't fix the Eggmobile because he has no metals or tools to fix it with, other than the robots that are right there, but he'd have no tools. So now Flynn realizes this. When worlds collide, Tails modified Mega Man's Buster with no tools or metals. I love Eggman's frustrated line here. He complains about how he doesn't have any fuel cells or machine shop to work in and no idea where he is. And says, if you happen to be hiding all that in that big mouth of yours, please do share. Eggman should be sarcastic a lot more often. There's a rumbling, and then some bikers in leather drive towards Eggman in a red motorcycle. Why would it ever be red instead of black? And in green cars, and even some airboards. And then they ran him over and killed him. The end. No! Why would that happen? He's from the games! Instead, of course they'd come to help him when he doesn't deserve it. Of course a bunch of evil minions just handed to him because that's how Sonic rewrote reality. Unintentionally. Yeah, because it makes total sense that Sonic could rewrite reality with chaos control in ways that he ended up being surprised by. Remember, this is a universe Sonic specifically created. How would anything come to be by accident without his say-so? In fact, why on earth would he recreate the universe to have Eggman in it in the first place, instead of having him be there in a prison, or dead? And Eggman firing a laser at Sonic's universe creation sphere that was trying to recreate a completely different world and somehow have to explain stuff like this. Because we all know mindless lasers can change how reality is rewritten, you know, with their thoughts and vast imagination. Why would Sonic remake a universe to be like this? Realistically, it would make sense that the universe would be different when Sonic was remaking the universe, even if there was no lawsuit and stuff. Because there's no way anybody could be trusted not to try to make the universe better in their eyes if they were in charge of remaking the universe. So, logically, Sonic wouldn't have the universe remade so that Eggman was in it, terrorizing it. He wouldn't have any of the villains he knows still in it, for that matter. He'd have no reason to be nice enough to let them keep having their minions and stuff. Realistically, even if the reboot and lawsuit weren't the case, logically, the universe that he came to wouldn't be exactly the same anyways. There'd be no reason for it. Because Sonic would have the perfect opportunity to take down Eggman right there and make his world completely peaceful. Yeah, I would still have been mad at him for not taking that. Eggman's asked if he's giving the bad guys a surprise inspection, and Eggman awkwardly pretends he was, and it turns out these bikes are the Africa Egg Army Unit, as opposed to African Egg Army Unit. For fuck's sake, this is really annoying me. Is it supposed to be funny? Eggman doesn't earn these guys. I expected him to rework his way from the ground up, since I heard about him not being the rule of the world anymore in the reboot from TV tropes. But no! I guess I misremembered it. He didn't have to do anything to earn these minions. And why would Sonic or the laser he fired when worlds collide give him these? I guess based off Sonic's memories of the Dark Legion, but they're not echidnas. He would immediately think of echidnas, inseparable from the cyborg part. They outnumber him. They could just tackle him and kill him. What do they have to be afraid of? At least it was amusing to see Eggman riding on some sort of bike thing in Eggmobile, while a broken Eggmobile, which is chained to it, has the angry-looking water buffalo sitting in it. That's creative. A water buffalo. Well, Eggman says cheerfully that he's got to get himself one of these. I hope he does, and this isn't just a line written as a joke, because that would be a good change of pace for a while. Already Eggman is written better than he was in Archie Sonic, because he's got some more life to his personality instead of being portrayed as 100% menacing and evil all the time. He's showing emotion instead. And it actually makes it feel worth it this time that comic space was wasted on him, because it wasn't wasted. He's also a big improvement from Worlds Collide, where he's just a parody of himself. Wait, when Orbot and Eggman clearly start talking about how they're starting out in the middle of the action in another universe with memories of the previous world, they're doing this right in front of the Water Buffalo Army. And none of them are reacting to this conversation. Instead, make way for lazy-ass backgrounds of monochrome colors. That doesn't take me out of it. After Eggman plans to go back to the Death Egg, Sonic sees Big the Cat, who's just been fishing. He says that the project Tails and Rotor were working on is big like him. That is a charming line, but why the fuck would a random fisherman who spends all his time in a jungle know about Tails' engineering project at all? Also, you'd think that since the heroes are supposed to be the main characters of the comic, you'd think that Eggman's part of the story would be much later. Especially since we started out with Sonic and Tails, but that's just a nitpick. He says he can show them the way. Is this the blind leading the blind? Sonic claps with Tails, seeming to bow a little with his eyes closed, the two showing chemistry together as friends. And after a few jumbled, confusing horizontal panels, where I could only tell that there were badniks there, I saw Rotor fighting them, in a design that actually properly takes advantage of the fact that he's a walrus now, because now they're trying to make him badass. He still doesn't have any special powers though. At least I assume he doesn't, because that would have been cool. So I guess he's just fighting badniks with his strength and muscles. Does he have super strength? This is obviously how Rotor should have been from the very beginning. I always thought Rotor was lame. And now Rotor is being portrayed as actually respectable for the first time in ages. I don't understand why he didn't fight robots personally more often before this point, if he can do it just fine now. I guess this really is a different Rotor then. I guess the previous Rotor would have injured his fist by trying to punch robots with it. For once, this is a Reboot redesign that is kind of great, in the sense that he's muscular. Why didn't that happen a lot sooner? But I don't think the goggles or the gloves were necessary. Seriously, why the gloves? What's the obsession with gloves with these characters? Rotor gets called by Tails. Wait, so why didn't he call him way earlier? So, was he only able to call Rotor from a close enough distance that he could hear him fighting badniks? That's the worst cell phone technology ever. Rotor says he was spotted by badniks just as he was about to implement the auto-targeting defenses. Why didn't he do that earlier? How long has he been a freedom fighter? And he's worried about a Horde commander showing up. And as they fight badniks, Tails wants to beat them all before they transmit their location. Oh, I guess because they're worried about even more robots being called to them. Constantly. Why don't they instantly transmit their location before Rotor even has a chance to fight them? Why wouldn't they just hide so that Rotor wouldn't be able to beat them? This badnik fighting scene is going on way too long, especially considering the badniks all go down in one hit anyways. So it's just easy, cheap padding. I'm just skipping through these panels, barely registering them. The point is, Silver Sonic shows up, being the badnik Horde commander. I assumed it'd be a non-robot, but this guy's more charm. Fortunately, Big is useful by throwing Silver Sonic up in the air. And the robot exploded for some reason. I guess because Rotor used a machine to do it. I think Big the Cat fought Silver Sonic in Ian's fanfiction, Big Trouble Little Planet. And he's actually surviving this time. Silver Sonic's been crippled. Again, just like with the Tails doll, why are they not completely destroying him? You'd think that it would always be common practice for Rotor to want to use any robot he destroys for scrap metal. You'd think he'd be telling Sonic to go find where Silver Sonic went and bring him to him. And they made a whole bunch of metal Sonics in Archie. There's no reason they couldn't have made more Silver Sonics. Then Rotor leads the heroes into the Sky Patrol and welcomes them to its maiden flight. So what took him so long to make the Sky Patrol? Again, how long have they been freedom fighting? So, the whole reason that they came to get Rotor was to get his memory sparked with Nicole for no actual reason. I guess because they really don't want to feel alone in this. So why the fuck didn't they just do it already? Are they that easily distracted? And Tails is naturally happy the Teapup's here. Well, at least I've been smiling at this issue instead of spending the entire time confused as hell. Rotor says that Tails was the one who insisted on the name, and the Sky Patrol was designed as the heroes' answer to the Death Egg. I hope they have some kind of good evacuation systems, because if that thing gets inevitably knocked out of the sky, they'd crash with it otherwise and get killed. It probably does. Rotor and Tails probably made some planes in it to get out of there. Or at least parachutes. But that still seems like something that's inevitable when they're challenging a Death Egg with an airship of theirs. Like, you'd think there would be a ring matrix force field for the Sky Patrol too, since Rotor should be just as smart as Eggman. This kind of thing just makes me question why Rotor didn't... Well, to be fair, Sally and the Death Egg chase happened on such short notice in Archie Sonic that there was just no time to build a Sky Patrol, and it wouldn't have made a difference to the plot if it was that and not the tornado. But yeah, why didn't he build a Sky Patrol in Archie Sonic? He did actually build the Freedom Fighter Special, so he did make a plane. It wasn't like the heroes' answer to the Death Egg. I guess because... why would they need something as fancy as this? I guess because he had that much free time. Rotor's given some visions of another world, and he's scared and stressed out right away, naturally considering the shit Flint put him through. And he reacts pretty characteristically to the stress by saying he can't process it right now and just wants to focus on work, walking away. He asks how Nicole is doing, and for some reason Nicole's doing a little better just because she sparked memories in Rotor. A Rotor who's clearly a completely different one from the Prime one based on his design. I guess she gave him fake memories. I mean, come on, anything's possible with technology in this series. Somehow this kind of thing is helping Nicole get back to normal. Like she really wants to get rid of an excess of electricity, and having too much of it is hard on her, and the sparks are releasing it. The memories wouldn't be electricity. Memories are like the way that your neurons in the brain are firing. Like, aren't they comparable to zeros and ones in computers? Like, they would be electricity in absence of electricity. It would be like you'd have to reprogram somebody's brain in order to give them the fake memories that she's giving them. Electrocuting them isn't doing that. This confusing as shit plot point is easily the bad part of this memory arc, Penrose' style. It really sticks out. Rotor, agreeing to help, tries to pull up their mission files. He explains that Bunny and Antoine are in deep cover on missions for the Sky Patrol. So wait, the Sky Patrol is both the name of the Good Death Egg and the name of the Freedom Fighters? Huh? Or I guess, like the Sky Patrol, they're not on the Sky Patrol. It's not like Bunny and Antoine are making stuff for the Sky Patrol. It's like a vastly inferior name for the Freedom Fighters team. Is he so resentful of Sad AM that he'll insist on calling it the Sky Patrol, not the Freedom Fighters? I mean, there's a reason they're called the Freedom Fighters. It may be a boring and uncreative name, but it's a name that's exactly what it says on the tin, and therefore better. Also, why did Rotor have to pull up their mission files to know about this stuff? They're his friends. You'd think he would have known all this already, especially Bunny. Because they would be like, why is Bunny missing? Well, we better find out. All of her friends would already know about that. Antoine's helping Uncle Chuck just outside Knothole. I doubt he was made a brilliant inventor to help him out, because that'd be really redundant with Rotor and Tails around, but anything would be better than him being useless like he's always been. Oh look, he can fight robots, so can everyone else. I won't be impressed by that. This isn't Sad AM where almost nobody can fight robots. I mean, granted, Antoine did do like 18 things that were useful in Pre-Flynn Archie, but his usefulness kind of dropped off the face of the earth after issue 50. So, whatever. And Amy was supposed to guard this place, but vanished. Sonic knows that Amy can handle herself until he gets to her. I guess now she's earned his respect as a competent hero. Also, I guess they just really want to give Amy something to do. Because Rotor could have made a robot or reprogrammed a robot to guard the place, and that could have done a better job. I guess he assumes that the robot would get kidnapped and reprogrammed to fight against him, but with how effortlessly he defeats robots, defeating it and having to repair it would just be a mild annoyance. I'm sure the robot with, like, laser shooting capabilities would be way more capable than Amy, and it would be nicer to give Amy a break. Sonic's happy that Chuck is okay, on top of all the other Freedom Fighters being okay. Why is he so surprised that Chuck is okay? Nothing happened to him, other than him getting his character ruined because he was turned into a jerk. Remember him complaining bitterly about betraying Ixis and rebuilding the good metal Sonic? Remember that? At least the Reboot universe will be a good excuse to have character derailment for him to fix the damage Flynn did to his character. At least, so now he'll actually be nice. But logically, you'd think that Sonic would be like, I hope my parents are okay too. But yeah, Sonic's especially happy that Sally's okay. In a Reboot world where it's against the law for him to be with her because Flynn disapproves of it, meaning even that plot thread will get dropped, and he'll be the nicest gentleman in the world to not be bitter with her for randomly not being into him anymore. I mean, she is a different Sally. But to be fair, it was always off-putting to me that they were shipped together, because they have almost nothing in common. So this actually makes sense. Though it makes much less sense for Sonic to be into the nag Sally than for Sally to be into the hero Sonic, because Sonic would do a lot to impress her. And Big says he'll stay here in case there's more robots, showing more responsibility, and Tails thanks him for it. Eggman makes modifications to something with the water buffalo being confused that he wants to fly in it. And I like how Eggman covers up him not knowing something. He gives him a pop quiz, finding out that the nearest base and egg boss is Lord Hood in Avalon. What the hell is Avalon? I've never played Black Knight. And just being told meaningless names shouldn't really satisfy Eggman. Well, at least they have an onboard computer connected to the internet to explain how they know where to go. But is Avalon the not Mercia? Because Lord Hood is really reminding me of the Snake Legionnaire sub-boss in that Universe arc. Is that the same character as him? It would be nice if we got to at least see Archie Sonic exclusive characters that Flynn made independently come back. Since logically there'd be no reason for all of Flynn's characters not coming back. Not to mention all of Gallagher's or Angelo's. But I'm worried we won't even get to see that. Because Monkey Khan probably won't show up again, even though he was made by Frank Strom, not someone who sued over the rights to him. And Fiona Fox won't show up again, even though her original idea was by Gallagher when he wrote an infiltrator robot based on her, meaning Fiona must have existed. Same goes for the Down Under Freedom Fighters. So it's not legal issues that's keeping most of these characters from us. Like, he's gonna bring back AOSTH characters in the reboot. So why doesn't he bring back the Archie characters that they didn't lose the rights to? It would be so much easier and less effort. And it would obviously be much better marketing because a lot of fans would be happy as opposed to him coming up with some new original character. It's just bad writing. One of the bad guys actually asked why they tolerate Eggman, and he's told that they have to. Why do they have to? That's not an answer. Say that you're afraid Eggman will destroy you if you don't. They all have him outnumbered. They could just tackle him and beat him up. And if it's for the money, they could steal his money afterwards. Then he says that if the rumors are true, he's not getting on Eggman's bad side because he's scared of Eggman getting the roboticizer to work again. Wait, I thought they were going to dish that concept out of spite for Sad AM. I thought they were saying goodbye to when Worlds Collide, and that's why robotization was used so much. I mean, this world doesn't have the no robotization spell by the BIM, so there's no excuse for it not being used a lot more. And this is our Eggman who knows how to do that stuff. Even if he's been rewritten into that reality with the people that are already having history with him, when he just got sent into it through an expanding portal. Why would he ever be confused in the first place like he just showed up there? Why would his brain have been like that instead of not being like that because of the rewritten reality? They weren't outside reality when it was being recreated. This is why I hate the Memories arc. I like the Orbot lampshades that flying the machine at night might risk Eggman falling asleep at the wheel. Why is it Eggman who's flying and not one of his robot servants doing it for him? Eggman wants to launch the Death Egg so he can find a way to fix things. If by that he means he wants most people legionized like an Archie Sonic, well, that's one step to fixing things. But the other step is to bring back the characters, most of which were not claimed by Sue Happy writers. And the step after that is to bring back the actual geography that wasn't owned by Penders. Like, everything that's not Mercia is fine. But no, that'd be too good for us. We gotta punish the fans for the mistake a writer made. Logically, if Eggman was even capable of making a machine that can rewrite all of reality, logically, why wouldn't he do the same thing again? Why wouldn't he just succeed the next time? This issue is by Ian Flynn, and at least it's actually good instead of craptastically confusing like the previous one, because most of the time, the focus wasn't on the confusing as shit plot point that Nicole can spark Archie Sonic memories in Reboot universe characters, but instead, most of the focus was on showing us that the Reboot rotor is a badass, who's back to field missions and is fighting Badniks by himself. It's been such a long time if I have seen Rotor fight robots, because I don't remember him even doing that outside the Death Egg madness. Too bad the fight scene with the Badniks dragged out longer than it should have. There's no reason to drag it out multiple panels if they all die in one hit. We get it. We're better off having a time skip that gives us room for more plot, because there's no reason to be afraid of those things. I liked the fact that Rotor's not a lame wuss anymore. And I like the idea of the Sky Patrol being a good Death Egg. It's nice that it's named after a game, Tails Sky Patrol. Especially the fact that it's an underrated, obscure game, and not an over-referenced game like the classic Sonic 2D ones. But I hated that Eggman was just transported to this world with his old memories intact, and he's already got history in this place with some minions. That's confusing, that's frustrating. He doesn't earn his armies. He just starts out with them. That's so stupid. I thought since he was all miserable in the wilderness, he was starting from scratch and was going to work his way back up. Nope. Somehow he already has armies on his side, and yet he doesn't remember them. He was just transported to this world. He should be a foreign element. It's not like there was some other Eggman before him that they're mistaking him for. Who was running around giving him a reputation? And then what happened to him to get Eggman to replace him? Same goes for Sonic. What about this universe having a different history would cause Rotor to be muscular and decide to make the Sky Patrol instead of the Freedom Fighter Special, and that's it? It's like the butterfly effect. Like, a few things are different in the past, so it creates a whole bunch of different changes. At that point, logically, what was the actual chances of all the main characters being born? Like Eggman. If the Reboot universe is so different, why was Eggman even born? This is not a clean slate stuff. It's off-putting and confusing. And if it was a clean slate, then ideally Eggman would start from scratch, because it's a new continuity that we just started. But if he didn't, that'd be fine too, because it wouldn't be confusing. He would have legitimately always been in that position since he started doing evil things. I wasn't mad that when I started out Archie Sonic, Robotnik was already in power with Robians in the city. But part of what made it work was because, while the first issue of Archie started out in Media Res, immediately it had a side story that detailed how Robotnik first roboticized Uncle Chuck and had him join his Robian army, giving us at least some kind of start to his rise to power. So it added to his legitimacy, gave him a real presence to earn his being the main villain. Here, he just has the tyrant position because it's been grandfathered in, like the Freedom Fighters, from the old continuity. You'd think if everything in the universe was rewritten, his brain would be too. So he wouldn't still have memories of the other universe, especially not if he had a different past in this universe that he was rewritten, already done. So basically the reality was rewritten and everyone's consciousness was transferred to the new versions of themselves. Then why would their consciousness hold old memories? They would have different brains at that point.